Welcome to The Afterwards, the podcast where grief gets messy, spirituality gets weird, and laughter and heartbreak hang out like two awkward exes at a party. I'm your host, Maile Navarro. And if you're here because you're searching for a grief podcast that makes you feel less alone, or because somebody sent you this link and said, this bitch is unhinged, you've got to listen. Either way, I'm glad you're here. If I'm being honest, the whole point of creating this podcast was meant to be a safe place for me to word vomit without anyone being able to tell me to stop or to be quiet. I'm looking for somewhere to put all of my feelings without being a complete buzzkill and scaring off the few friends I have left. Because let's face it, when you're deep in grief, even the best people, the ones who love you the most, they just don't know what to do with you. They want you to, no, they need you to process your grief quietly. They need it to be out of sight and out of mind. It's too much for them. They want it to happen fast, faster than you're actually ready for. And then they expect you to emerge from the wreckage as this perfectly polished, enlightened version of yourself. Well, newsflash, it's not how grief works. Let's start with this. Grief is not a journey. I don't care what the motivational posters say. A journey sounds like something you plan for, like a vacation. You pack snacks. You know where you're going because you chose the destination. You map out stops along the way, and there's at least a sliver of hope that this trip is going to be enjoyable. Grief is none of that. It's more like being pushed out of an airplane without a parachute. You're landing in the ocean and you realize you don't even know how to swim. The impact knocks the wind out of you. The waves are crashing, they're relentless. You're flailing, choking, just trying to stay afloat. But somehow you survive. You resurface after the fall. Gasping for air, but you are alive. You're wondering if anyone else is drowning too. Well, guess what? You found one. Hi, I'm your fellow floater. And this podcast, it's our life raft. It might be duct taped, but it's a boat. For those of you who don't know me, and honestly, I envy you because knowing me can be exhausting. Here's a quick backstory. My son Kingston, who I called Bubby, passed away in July of 2024 after a 6-year battle with brain and spinal cancer. He was 9 years old. He passed away 11 days before his 10th birthday. 9. That's barely enough time to learn how to tie your shoes properly, let alone to live through more hell than most adults will ever know. Kingston was everything. And I know every mom says that, but in this case, it's not an exaggeration. It's true. He was this incredible mix of old soul wisdom and childlike magic. He could make you laugh until you peed your pants and then turn around and say something so profound that it could bring you to tears. He would leave you questioning your entire existence. Kingston loved claw machines, Michael Jordan, the Warriors, soccer, and Pokemon. Most importantly, he loved his people. He loved his family. He loved his little sister Zuma so much. He was her protector and best friend. Kingston was the glue that kept our family together. When Kingston passed away, I thought that it would destroy me. I mean, literally, really, how do you survive something like that? How do you survive the love of your life being gone? Just gone. And the world around you keeps spinning like nothing has happened. People, they'll check in on you. They'll go to lunch with you. They'll send texts. They'll listen to you complain about traffic and the weather. Meanwhile, you're standing there wondering, how is this my life now? How do you breathe without your person? The truth is, I didn't think I could. The thought of grief alone, I thought would swallow me whole. I thought that I would end up one of those ghost moms who stares at old photos all day and forgets to eat. But here's the thing I didn't expect. As much as losing Kingston broke me, and I mean, it shattered me, I felt like a shell of a person, and some days I still do. But it also cracked me wide open in ways I never imagined. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and give you some cliche speech about how grief has made me stronger, because it didn't. Or that everything happens for a reason, because it doesn't. Honestly, someone said that crap to me, and they said it to me right after he passed. I wanted to punch them in the face, gently, with love, but nonetheless, I was going to punch them and hard. What I will say is this. Grief changes you. It's like being thrown into a fire while it burns you alive. It forces you to figure out what the hell you're made of. And what I realized is that underneath the pain and the tears and the moments of rage, like the times you have to scream into a pillow and punch the shit out of your comforter because somebody suggests that it's time to do yoga, maybe you should move on. Newsflash, no amount of downward dog is going to change the past. You don't move on. There's something else, though. There's peace. Not the peaceful dove on a cloud kind. It's much messier than that. It's more complicated than that. But it's real. It's the kind of peace that comes from knowing that Kingston is not really gone. He's not far away. I mean, he's not here in the way that I want him to be. Can't hug him. I can't hear him laugh in real time. But I know he's here. I feel him in the weirdest, most magical ways. Like when a tiny red car shows up out of nowhere, or when Justin Bieber's Ghost plays on shuffle exactly when I needed to hear it. Then there's bird poop, because of course Kingston couldn't just send me signs like a normal angel. Nope, he's got to make you laugh and cry all at the same time. But that's what this podcast is going to be about. It'll be about the mess. It'll be about the magic. It'll be about the collateral beauty in all of it. It's about the ways that grief tears you apart and stitches you back together, just not quite the same. This will be about unspoken truths, the things that people are too afraid and too scared, or maybe just too polite to say out loud. For example, how annoying is it when somebody says, "I can't imagine your pain"? No shit, Karen. Of course you can't. And I honestly hope you never have to. This will be about hope, about love, loss, and how you find yourself in the wreckage. Because even on the darkest days, there is something. Whether it's a memory, a sign, or the sound of Kingston's voice that no one else hears but me, I know it's real, and it reminds me why I'm here. Speaking of Kingston, I think it's time you hear from him, because this isn't just my story, it's his. It's the reason I'm still standing, that I'm still fighting, and that I'm still finding ways to laugh through the tears. So let's let Kingston set the tone for what's to come.
What is this?
What is what?
What is this?
What?
It's a mess.
It was like this when we left. It's all your stuff.
It looks like we got robbed.
It's always been like this. This is your fault. It does look like we got ransacked. Did I make a mess?
It's your fault.
I laugh every single time I play that video. In fact, I think I'm going to reshare it right now on my Instagram so that you can get a better glimpse into what life was like during those weeks in San Diego. Chaos, humor, and survival mode, our reality, all crammed into that tiny hotel room. This clip doesn't just capture Kingston, it captures me. I'm basically a walking train wreck. I'm just a half a second away from derailing, but still hell-bent on getting my ass up that hill. And honestly, that's been my vibe for a while now. Just the Hot Mess Express. A somewhat beautiful disaster, just doing everything she can to keep herself and all of her passengers alive and well, while the wheels are literally falling off. Before Kingston died, I was barely holding it together, scraping by, hoping that nobody noticed the band-aids and wishful thinking that were barely holding my life together as it was. Grief didn't just knock the whole thing over, it bulldozed it, set the remains on fire, and then handed me gasoline, a plastic spoon, and said, "Hey, go fix it." As of the time of this recording, it's been 4 months, 2 weeks, 3 days, 9 hours, and 49 minutes since Kingston died. Yes, I'm still counting. Because when your whole world stops, time doesn't just move on like it used to. It stretches. It slows way down. And every single minute feels like a lifetime. I can be honest, losing Kingston isn't what made my life messy. It just magnified the mess that was already there. It amplified the complete and total lack of control I had already been experiencing over my life. Pictured Britney Spears in 2007. Only I've got 2 umbrellas and I have no freaking clue what I'm swinging at. Grief moves in and forces you to live in the wreckage of a life you don't recognize. For 6 years, my entire existence revolved around meeting Kingston's needs. I wasn't just his mom. I was his nurse, physical therapist, teacher, chauffeur, scheduler, and best friend. I was with him every minute of every day, and then suddenly, I wasn't. And while the world around me kept spinning like nothing had happened, I'm still here trying to figure out how to exist in a reality where my son doesn't. Zuma didn't just lose her big brother. She lost her best friend too, her very favorite person in the entire world. And while I'm drowning in grief, she is too. And somehow we're expected to pack away those feelings neat and tidy for everyone else, put them away, and to focus on perfect attendance numbers, grade metrics, school, never mind the fact that the entire world has just fallen apart around us. Everyone around us has been moving on and moving forward. They're incapable of understanding why we're struggling to keep up, not realizing that forward for us doesn't make sense anymore. When it comes to death and grief, life does not stop and wait for you to get through it. It doesn't care that you're heartbroken, that your family is shattered, your marriage is dead, Or that one relationship, that one you were barely holding on to in the first place, has finally crumbled under the weight of the loss. After Kingston passed, people offered all kinds of well-meaning advice. Look into grief counseling. Have you joined a support group? Take the time to heal. But what they don't realize is that those systems and those programs that society assumes will be there to prop you up while you take the time to properly grieve, they are not what you think. Those systems are mostly empty promises of support, just boxes wrapped in shiny paper with a fancy bow slapped on top. From mental health services that lack consistency to schools that don't know how to support grieving kids like Zuma, or the financial devastation of going from a full-time employed caregiver to suddenly needing a job in the real world, these systems look polished from the outside but leave you absolutely empty-handed when you need them the most. People love to say things like, "You're so strong. You're going to figure it out. You always do." I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Strength doesn't pay the bills, and you don't figure out how to exist in a world where your kid does not. It's not just about the person that you've lost. It's about everything else that grief takes from you. The life you had, the identity that you thought was yours. Here's what no one will tell you. Friends will become strangers, and strangers will become friends. As much as people rallied around us during Kingston's years of remission, and again in those final months, maybe a handful, maybe 4 or 5, have kept in touch in the last couple of months since he's passed. The real work, the real support needs to happen after. Imagine your worst ex showing up uninvited to your birthday party in a fuzzy onesie with a microphone singing terrible karaoke. That's grief. Super uncomfortable, totally unavoidable, but absolutely determined to stay until it's had its moment. Grief is chaotic. It's super inconvenient. This stuff is heartbreaking, but it's not untouchable. For me, grief has been like moving into a smaller house. It's extremely overwhelming. It's uncharted. It's exhausting, and it fucking hurts. But for the most part, it is manageable. If someone offers to help you pack, help you carry the boxes, and stick around to help you figure out where to put everything. The problem is that nobody wants to hang around to do the heavy lifting. You know, at the very end of Kingston's life, I was literally all alone to make decisions. I was the only one to figure out what to do next, whether or not to tell him if he's going to die. I mean, there were no tools for this. There were no guides, no videos on what to say, and there's no handbook on how to finish the sentence when you have to tell your child that his cancer treatment isn't working anymore. No one prepares you for this. And even if there was a how-to, it wouldn't have been enough. Bobby, Kingston, my sweet boy, he was 9 years old. That little boy guided me all by himself. He was telling me what he wanted. He told me when it was time to go. When a child has more clarity about his own death than the adults around him that are supposed to be prepared to handle it, something is deeply broken. Honestly, I don't even know if I said the right things. I'll never know. I don't know if I was supposed to say all of it or any of it. Here's the thing, and this is just my experience. I was given the gift of time. As a family, we were given a decent amount of time, relatively speaking, to figure out what to say, when to say it, and even time to change my plan if I wanted to. Kingston had cancer. His death wasn't sudden or unexpected. One of the craziest things that I've been able to say since Kingston passed away is that I'd had the luxury of time. I had time to sift through the confusion of what to say and what to do next. There's so many families where grief comes crashing through the walls of their lives like the Kool-Aid Man. I'm grateful to be able to say that he was with me to the very end. But for so many people, it's not like that. Death comes abruptly, an accident, an overdose, a heart attack. They don't get the time to stumble through the confusion of what the hell do I say and do? And it's crazy to call yourself lucky in this situation, but comparing it, yeah, we were lucky. Crazy is being able to find the collateral beauty in something so traumatic as death. That was the most magical thing about Kingston and his spirit, that even in the middle of all of that chaos, even as life itself was crumbling around us, he managed to shine. It was as if he were let in on a secret that the rest of us were just too distracted to hear. He lived a full life with clarity and purpose that most of us spend our whole lives searching for, and he was just 9 years old. Kingston saw the world for what it really was. He didn't waste time on the things that didn't matter. He loved fiercely. He laughed loudly. And he forgave easily. Everyone was his friend. Nothing stopped him. He never gave up. He was the kind of person that you could spend 5 minutes with and change the way you saw everything. He did it without even trying. He was a real-life Pokemon trainer, just walking around collecting hearts instead of badges. I'll never forget the night that he told me his biggest secret. And I've shared this story before, but it's worth repeating. We were in our hotel room during the 3rd week of radiation. It was just Kingston and I. I'd been up all night folding and refolding the same pile of clothes because it was easier than facing the truth. The MRI the next morning was going to tell us if Kingston's treatment was working. I thought Kingston was asleep, but suddenly he sat up and he looked at me, wide-eyed and completely awake, and he said, "Mommy, I have to tell you something. It's a secret. But you probably already know." I climbed in bed next to him, trying to smile like I wasn't a complete disaster. "A secret? I love secrets. Do tell." He leaned in and his eyes were sparkling like they always do. They dance when he's excited. He whispered, "Mommy, I'm really an angel." At first I thought he was just being sweet, and so I held him. I hugged him, I gave him a kiss, and I said, "Of course you are, Bubby. You're the sweetest, kindest person I know." He pushed me back and he shook his head, and he just stared at me like I wasn't getting it. No, Mommy. I mean an actual angel. I was sent here to do a job. God brought me here. I'm a real angel." I looked at him for a minute. He goes, "I had a job to do. My job is almost done." I remember wiping tears from my eyes because he used to charge me if I got caught crying. And I said, "Well, what's that, Bub? What was your job?" He said, "Well, Mommy, that job was you." In that moment, time stopped. The weight of what he said, the knowing in his voice, it knocked the wind out of me. And I didn't argue. I didn't dismiss it. I just sat there. I held him and I stared at him because I knew he meant it. He knew something that I didn't yet understand. And now after he's gone, I can finally see it. I see the magic that he carried, the purpose he fulfilled, the way he was never afraid of what was next. Kingston always knew there was more to this life. There was more to death, and there was more beyond what we can see. And he had spent his entire life showing me that. The thing is, he's still showing me. The signs he leaves, they are unmistakable. There are random things that happen that wouldn't make sense unless you knew Kingston the way I knew him. The little moments of magic, the random songs that play at exactly the right time, the tiny red cars that show up just when you least expect it, even bird poop that finds its way onto Jaden's car over and over again because Kingston wouldn't send us anything normal. These moments, those are all him. I feel it in my bones. Kingston didn't just leave me with memories. He left me with a connection to something so much bigger. He has cracked me wide open and showed me that love, real love, does not die. It never ends. That love transforms, and it actually grows. If there's one thing I've learned since losing Kingston, it's that death isn't what we think it is. It's not the end. It's a passage, like the wardrobe in Narnia. It's just a doorway to somewhere else, somewhere where Kingston still exists, where he is guiding me from, still reminding me of who I am, and still showing me what really matters. Kingston's magic isn't just his, it's all of ours. It's in the way we show up for each other, the way we love without holding back, the way we make room for the mess and the beauty all at once. And that's why this podcast exists. Not just to tell you about the mess, but to show you the magic, to remind you that even in the darkest times, there is light. Even when everything falls apart, there is something waiting to be found in the wreckage. Kingston knew that better than anyone, and now it's my turn to share his magic with you. If you're still here, first of all, wow, let me just say thank you. And second, congratulations on surviving your first emotional roller coaster with me. You should probably hydrate. Here's the deal. I don't know where this podcast is going to go. I don't have some beautiful roadmap, and I definitely don't have some planned out weekly schedule because let's be honest, people who know me know that I am late for everything. I'd be late to my own funeral if I could get away with it. And I guarantee you that Kingston will be standing by just waiting to roast me for it. I'm not here to promise you that we're going to figure this out together. Honestly, if you're looking for solutions, you just might be in the wrong place. This podcast won't be about tying up grief in a neat little bow. It's going to be about what happens when that bow unravels, catches on fire, and you're left holding the ashes. But what I can promise you is this. There will be chaos. There will be tears, probably mine, but you're welcome to join. There will be laughs because Kingston wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, this is the kid who sent bird poop to his older brother as his sign. He didn't exactly take life super seriously, and he's not about to start now. And look, I know grief isn't exactly the sexiest podcast material. It's not true crime. It's not wellness tips from a 22-year-old who looks like they've never experienced hardship in their entire life. But if you're here, it's probably because you're looking for something real, something relatable. I'm not going to give you the Instagram version of grief. I am giving you the ugly cry in a parking lot version, the ugly cry on the side of the road in front of your kid's school version, the I should probably stop Googling how to talk to dead people at 2 a.m. version. Because that's what grief is. It's messy, awkward, and so darkly funny that sometimes you just can't help but laugh at the wrong things at the wrong time. Like the other day when someone said, he's in a better place. And without thinking, I said, oh, you've been to Redondo Beach? The truth is this. I didn't have it all together before Kingston died, and I'm sure as hell not going to pretend to have it together now. I'm like one of those inflatable tube guys that you see when you're driving down the road and there's an oil change special. You know, the ones flapping around in the wind with their arms flailing everywhere. They're still standing, but they're not exactly graceful. Yeah, that's me. But here's what I do have. Stories. About Kingston, about me, about all of the bizarre, magical, what the fuck moments that come with this life. And I'll show up here. Late probably, but I'll be here. And I'll tell you the truth, even the parts I'm embarrassed to talk about, like how I talk to Kingston out loud every day, or how I once got mad at a bird for not being the right kind of bird to be a proper sign. Crows don't count, you know. Or how some days I just lay in bed and stare up at the ceiling fan and wonder why the fuck it's judging me. This isn't just about Kingston's story or my grief. This is about all of us. Grief is the one club that nobody wants to join, but eventually we will all be a part of it. Once you're in, you'll start realizing how many people there really are going through the same thing. I'm here to tell you that it's okay that you haven't joined that grief group. I'm here to tell you that it's okay if you fucking hate yoga. So do I. I'm just glad you're here. This isn't going to be perfect or polished. It's held together by duct tape and tears, but it's ours. And if Kingston were here, I know what he'd say. Mom, you're making it weird. And he'd be right, but that's the beauty of it. It is weird. Grief is weird. Life is weird. And it's love. And all of it is so much messier than anyone ever wants to admit. So if you're still listening, truly, thank you from the bottom of my heart for sticking it out with me. Sometimes the best thing you can do for someone is to just be there and listen. Thank you for showing up, for floating with me in this hot mess of a boat. I don't know exactly where we're going, but I do know that we're going to laugh, we're going to cry, and there's definitely going to be a ton of oversharing along the way. And if I'm late next week, just pretend that it's all a part of my charm. In the meantime, hug your people, look for the signs, and if a bird poops on your car, don't get mad. It just might be a sign from someone you love saying hi.